Poppin' peeps, T-Money up in the heezy for body bags. The week is 247. I'm in a really weird position on the couch. I'm like humping the couch right now. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I chose a movie that I think everybody should go out and watch as soon as they watch this, because it's that good. And if you like slasher movies, you'll love it. I promise. I think, at least. The movie I'm referring to is Blood Junkie from 2010. This is a Trauma release. It is, whatchamacallit, produced by Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hertz, but it is not directed by either one of them. This movie is directed by Drew Rosas. It stars a bunch of no-name actors and actresses. For example, Mike Johnson, Nick Sommer, Sarah Luther, so on and so forth. It's an 80s style slasher movie that takes place in a rundown industrial type building. Don't really know how to describe it, but it's like really atmospheric in that sense. I actually really love the setting of the movie. It's like this big abandoned parking garage, but it's not a parking garage. I don't know. I forget what it exactly is called. And therein lies there in the parking garage type thing, industrial settlement, lies this blood junkie, aka the killer, who wears this like ventilation mask, and he literally is a blood junkie, and that's how he gets off or whatever, survives, is basically by like hooking these tubes up to his victims and just sucking the blood out of them. It's like a ventilation type system, kind of similar to like My Bloody Valentine style Get Up. But what I really like about the film is the setting, the killer, just the feel of the movie. It's very throwback to the days of the, indie slasher movie. It has that feel from like 1980s for sure. Basically about a group of guys and girls, a small group. They decide to go camping, and then there's also the girl's little brother who's involved, who goes with them. She's basically babysitting her brother, and her best friend and these two dudes and her little brother go out to go camping in the woods, and they stumble across this abandoned facility, and it almost feels like it's like an old medical facility, like those abandoned buildings that you see in upstate New York and that sort of deal inside. And they're basically stalked and murdered by this psychotic killer wearing this ventilation mask. And just the sound effects of his like grunting are awesome, and it's just a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. The kills are pretty decent. The acting is okay for what it is. You just get it just feels like a really low budget 80s slasher film. And for that, made in 2010, I think it's totally worth checking out. I know this movie's been talked about a little bit before by some of the guys on the 22 Shots page. I know Mood616 is a big fan of the film. I actually heard about this movie based on his recommendation of it. But for a trauma film, I highly recommend it. I'll read you guys the synopsis just so you get a little feel of how it's technically plays out. It says his high school senior Laura Mills' parents are gone for the weekend, and she's stuck at home babysitting her lame little brother. When her friends invite her on a camping adventure, she decides to drag him along. But what starts out as a killer weekend might just become a killing one once they discover an abandoned building where evil resides. Blood Junkie is a 1980s style horror comedy that will take you on a trip down memory lane and right into harm's way. What I like about the film is that it's not too comedic. It's more horrific than it is comedic, and I appreciate that because I'm not the biggest fan of horror comedy films. And aside from some of the dialogue between the horny dudes and the chicks, it's not that funny, especially when it starts, gets rolling. Like, the kills aren't funny. There's nothing funny about being stalked by this killer in this ventilation mask at all, and that's what I appreciate. So it's a perfect mix of comedic elements, in my opinion. Yeah, for now, I think this is the only release of the film. I'd like to see a nice Blu-ray of it, but I think Drew Rosas, the director of this, did something more recently that was good too. I wish I had did a little research prior to doing this video, but I didn't. But this movie's awesome. If you can get past kind of the indie feel, if you're not like so much of a low budget movie, because the one thing it doesn't do successfully, in my opinion, is make it feel like a higher quality or a higher budget film than it actually is. It feels like a low budget 80s slasher film. But that being said, it's not so shitty that it's I don't enjoy it. I shouldn't say that at all. Like it's not like Slaughter Farm or any other shot on video, and it's not shot on video film at all. So I don't know if that was even worth saying, but Debbie Rochon does a cool introduction to the film on this release as well, and it seems like there should be a sequel to this based on how the movie plays out. So I'm hoping we get one for sure. But the ending is great. The little climax that happens at the end is awesome, and it has this kind of sense of like, I don't know, it's weird. Like when you watch it and you first discover that there's a killer out there, like half the team is still back at the campsite, the other half of this team is like in the abandoned building, and you kind of have this sense of like dread and fear that he's going to come to the campsite. I don't know, it left me feeling like, ew, is he going to come? And you'll have to watch the movie and find out. But yeah, it's a good time. Check it out. Blood Junkie from 2010, directed by Drew Rosas, produced and released by Troma Entertainment. My apologies in advance if this has been done before. I don't believe it has on this channel, but I could be wrong. Yeah, awesome movie. Check it out. Blood Junkie. T-MONEY86 signing out for Body Bags for Horror Lies. Catch you guys next Friday. Have a great weekend. Peace.